सर प्रणाम सर।
हाँ प्रणाम।
सर नमस्ते, हेमंत बोल रहा हूँ।
हाँ हेमंत नमस्ते।
Sir, with your permission, shall I start
Good morning, sir.
Yes, of course.
now? So, all the participants present here, I seek your attention. Professor MC Govil, Director NIT Sikkim, has joined us. First of all, I extend my warm welcome to him for this FDP. I also welcome on the behalf of my institution, principal, and organizers of this program. As he is the founder principal of this institute, I welcome him on behalf of all the faculty and staff members who have requested me to do so, and especially from side of the students. Dear participants, Dr. MC Govil needs no introduction. He is friend, philosopher, and guide for every fourth teacher in technical education in North India. He is loved and admired in technical education fraternity from deep northwest to remote northeast. I feel honored connected with him. Though Professor Govil requires no introduction, it is my proud privilege to read his brief profile for the audience present over here. Professor MC Govil has joined MNIT Jaipur as lecturer in September 1986 as professor, and he is professor since July 2005. He has experience of 34 plus years in teaching, research, and administration. He has been National Institute of Technology Sikkim since May 1st, 2017. He is founder head of Computer Science and Engineering Department and Information Technology Department in MNIT Jaipur and served approximately 10 years as head of the department. He has been principal of this very host institution of this program, Government Women Engineering College Ajmer. He is the founder principal of this college, as well as he also founded Engineering College Banswara in Rajasthan. He served for a term of 5 years as a principal in this college. He has been the additional charge principal in Engineering College Ajmer also and Engineering College Bhilwara. He has been Dean Faculty Affairs, Faculty of MCA RTU Kota. He has been Director for Center for Electronic Governance Jaipur as an additional charge for more than 5 years. He has been the State Project Coordinator for SPFU Cell, Government of Rajasthan under TechUp 2nd. I hope all of we are aware about TechUp. It is the World Bank Finance project of Government of India, looked after by MHRD, and SPFU is State Project Facilitation Unit, which take care of the project in the state. So he has been the State Project Coordinator for 3 years. He is a director on the board of Rajasthan Knowledge Corporation Limited, RKCL, for 7 years, and he is continuing on this post. He has been member of various advisory and project monitoring committees at national and state level. He served as the coordinator of IIIT Kota at its very inceptional stage in year 2013. And he established IIIT Kota for 2 years. He has been member of various committees of National Board of Accreditation NBA since 2014. He has conducted national, state level entrance examination, counseling of AIEEE, RMET, and RPET. He served as a member of numerous state and national level committees in various capacities. He has been member of Board of Governors, Board of Studies, and Senate of several institutions. He served as a chairperson and co-person of RAC and DRDO. He has been visitor nominee of Tripura University and University of Delhi. He published more than 50 plus papers in journals and 100 plus papers in conferences. He has been delivering many expert lectures in national and international level and has supervised 15 PhD, and under him 8 PhD are currently going on. The list is too large. I would I would not complete it, and time is going. So I now request Professor Dr. M.C. Govil to take over the dais. We are very honored and we feel proud connected with you, sir. Please welcome, and dais to you, sir, please.
Okay, thank you, Shyam Sundar, for such a nice introduction. And I know, right?
Thank you, sir.
So you all love me, and therefore, right, you have exaggerated too much of my understanding and achievements.
No, sir. Actually, I feel that it is like showing a lamp to sun.
Okay. No. It's fine then. Okay, now I think I have to start my presentation. So
Yes.
I think from there the presentation has to be stopped. कहाँ यहाँ से? यहीं से?
Yes.
ये window.
Ma'am Mita, will you please stop presenting?
Yes, sir. I stopped, sir. I stopped.
Okay, yes.
Share.
इसको ये क्यों आ रहा है? Is it visible now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, so I don't know how interesting topic it would be, but of course, this is very, very important as far as the educational system of India is concerned. It's not only technical education, but at times I believe, I think we have to work more on the this school education. Because in my perception, the school education is much more important because that is the basis of your technical or any higher education. And probably addressing the concerns in school education, I think we all know, right? Sometimes the all kinds of the issues which are being deliberated in NEP 2020 are existing. And I believe a lot of work need to be done, right? It's not, we can't say this as a, right, some bottlenecks from the government of part, but I think it's a society which has to really help and have to do what you have written here, the quality management or the excellence in academic. And especially in school education, unless until society takes the onus, I think we cannot improve the school education. That is, I'm sure, right? Apart from the other issues, right? And your topic is, of course, is very important. The leadership and the excellence in technical education. So that is the demand of today for the country. And yes.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Yes, sir.
How are you?
Sorry, sir.
No, it's
सर मैं
right.
हॉस्टल चले गया था इसलिए लेट हो गया
हाँ,
सर.
तो तुमको तो सुनना ही चाहिए क्यों, अच्छा लीडर बनना है ना, नहीं?
सर आप है ना मेरे लिए तो.
So thank you for inviting me, and really it is always been delight to be part of any deliberations in government Mahila Engineering College. So I
Yes,
really love to
Yes, sir.
speak on any topic which at times you are interesting on me. So thank you once again for all. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Right. So fine. I was saying the leadership as well as the quality, both are important. And I think we have been deliberating a lot on this. Mic off. So we have been deliberating a lot, and I think the actual realization of these things is probably the required. So I'm not going too much technical. I would like to be little more practical. Maybe some contents are theoretical, but I believe the leadership cannot be learned from the books, and the quality cannot be also enforced. So I think it is up to us and how we really conceive and perceive the entire environment of the country, and small efforts of everyone, I believe, will help in enforcing what the topic of your workshop is. So with this, let me see. what are the contents here. So we'll see some sustainability goals, of course, have been defined, and the education is one of them. Then we'll discuss about the learning environment. We will see the leadership, okay, what leadership is, theoretically as well as the practical aspects. Okay, in the modern era, not right. Sometimes the old concepts of the leadership. I believe leadership is something which is very, very important. NEP will just look on the important issues. Then, of course, quality, accreditation, the management people talk about the total quality management, right? So how we can achieve in technical education, something like this. So these are this. So sustainability goal has been defined. I think you might have seen, right? And out of that, the fourth goal is the quality education, because the education is something, because education is not what we are imparting, but it encompasses all sphere of your formal as well as the informal education, right? So formal education, we have the institutions in terms of the schools, in terms of the higher learning institutions, but informal okay, education starts from the childhood in the home, and that is very, very important, right? We were becoming too busy, and at times we are missing, right, what we are used to get the informal education from our elders, at times the dadaji, nani, and though that education was very, very important, because it teaches you so many things apart from the some of the right living aspects of the human, that teaches us the culture, the values, the ethics, and that is somewhere is missing from the today's, because everyone has become too busy, and we have been converted to atomic family rather than right the big families where every person has to live. But that is the demand of the time, and then we have to substitute this learning, right, informal learning also. And there are various ways, right, how to use them and how to make right the impact on the society is the concern. So as the world is changing, we have to change our both the method of informal as well as the formal education, right? But education is, of course, the integral part of our life, and right, we have to really need to be concerned with this. So it says ensuring inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. So I think you people have also gone through the NB accreditation, and you know the graduate attributes have been defined, and then we define the right education outcomes also. Sometimes the right this other course objective, or the right program objective, something like this. So those all are important, but implementation, I understand, is very difficult, and therefore we have to deliberate right how to really okay go ahead for the what is called the outcome based education. Because talking about the outcome based education is very simple, but when it comes to the implementation, it's really a daunting task. At times your infrastructure is not supporting, sometimes right your rules regulation doesn't support you, and at times there is a lack of support from the society, right? There is a lack of motivation in the faculty as well as staff. Many factors are there which you can say are working as a impeding factor for okay the quality growth of the education, right? Not in India, but right apart from the few countries, we call them the developing countries, the rest of the world is still fighting what we are fighting in our India also. So right so paradigm shift in the learning, of course, because the world is changing. We have so much of digital you can say the disrupting technologies we at times define becoming a part of our life. Therefore the learning has been also redefined, and realizing that we have to really okay think of right how to reproduce learning, right? And we have to change both the learning methods as well as assessment methods. We have to change the examination form also, and so many things. So I think lots of things are there. School bounded learning that has to be changed, also individualized learning, right, because of the digital aids. This is becoming more prevalent, but of course we have seen, right, rather than going for this blended mode of learning might be better choice. Localized and global learning, and there are some comparison. This is also right from some literature which they define traditional learning and then the new global learning, or you can say the new form of learning. So once a reproduced learning and new era, we are talking about the individualized learning, but right, it was not like that. Sometimes I differ from this thing, because if you look back to your history or look back to your ancient culture of the India, right, it was also individualized learning, right? Maybe over the time the emphasis was more on the summative type of the assessment rather than the formative assessment. And therefore, right, in between, we always say this is education which is creating more kind of a people rather than the practical people. So that was the era, but the things are changing. And if you look at back the Nalanda or the Tashila University, right, we do have a what we are envisaging today. So that is also important one. So we have to realize our strength, and I think we can really change the trend of the education or the teaching learning environment in India. The second point is student is a follower of the teacher. Student is the center of education. Right. So this sentence is little vague, and at times I feel, right, the student, right, can be follower in the sense that if the teacher is a mentor, if we believe the teacher is a mentor, right, so he might follow, but does not be a student which is not applying their creativity or innovation or right, the other aspects of other attributes of the learning. So of course the student has been the center of the education always, whether it is being and that education has to be imparted by the teachers, but because of the tools available today, I think student can also learn. So our part has increased a manifold. Apart from delivering the lectures in the classrooms, right, we have to mentor the students for the holistic development, and then we have to teach him how he can do the self-study, what are the good courses available online, and how he can convert himself as a good right creator rather than just some sort of a learning simply a student or a learning from the books, not implementing in practice. Standard programs, of course, this is true that we were having a very rigid kind of the curriculum, and we were not allowing the students to to move away from the rigid kind of the curriculum. So now the things are changing, and I believe that it has to be very dynamic in the today's requirement, because the technology is changing too fast, and therefore we have to change our curriculum as well as the give the opportunity to the student to go for what the NEP says, multidisciplinary education. But at the same time, we have to ensure that the basics of any program or any stream must be built thoroughly in the student. So that is important one. Absorbing knowledge from their teachers, self-learning with appropriate guidance and facilitation, and therefore I think very important point here. So earlier your assessment was based on the just mugging the things or just learning. It was not the creative, or you can say the other form of Bloom's technology, but now we have to really concentrate on more on the application of the language and the creation and innovation, rather than just learning and then not using the knowledge in terms of the application, in terms of the applying the knowledge for the practical creation of the products and so many things. So the way of teaching has to be changed, of course, very rightly said here. Receiving process, right? Actualizing process. So very, very important point and very difficult to achieve because still we feel the psychology of the student. I think 50% of hardly students are get motivated and are self-actualized, and therefore at times you have to find here also the middle way. Some of the students are really highly motivated, and you need not to tell them. If you mentor them well, they do really good. But they are the students where they need more help, and then you have to, it might be at times a daunting task for the teachers also to force them to self-realize. And therefore I think a deliberate point where the teachers involvement and teachers requirement increases many-fold rather than the students which are having in the front line of the teaching learning process, and they do understand, right, what is good for them and what is bad for them. Focus on how to gain, focus on how to learn. Yes, there is a difference in the you can say knowledge, getting the knowledge, and the learning. So learning is talks about some sort of a implementation whatever you have learned, okay, and utilizing your knowledge for the benefit of the society and benefit of the nation. Okay, so that is important. Reward and punishment also, it is changing, right? And therefore we have to find new ways for reward as well as the punishment set, right? Because at times the student mentality we all know, because we have passed through the same phase. But right, the punishment I believe is not a not should not be the part of your right teaching learning process. And if it is a punishment, or if it is something, then it should be just for the benefit of the student. Then school bounded learning and localized global learning, teacher based learning, multiple local and global. So we are now talking blended learning. That is, we have already deliberated. Separated learning, network learning. So group now, it is also very important that we have realized that co-learning is better. So students should be involved, senior students should be involved in mentoring and right nurturing their juniors. And at times this cooperative learning is much better than the individual learning, because it has many positive impact on the teaching learning environment. And I think if you see, there is an advertisement in the TV also, and Honorable CM of this Delhi, Kejriwal ji, have started something called mentoring, right, a scheme, and that is really good one. So we have to think for these kind of the new forms of learning, fixed period, and this is of course it's lifelong learning. I think we all know learning is a long process, and right, we cannot say that you can learn in 4 or 5 years. Limited opportunity. Now of course the opportunities have increased because you have access to each and everything on touch of your finger. So opportunities have been increased manifold. There is no doubt, and the means of getting the knowledge has also increased. So this is really good one. School bounded learning, world class learning. Again, you can get access of the many courses which you may not be having locally, and globally you can access to any teaching learning resources. And then I can give you an example. We are taking the course from the MIT or the Stanford for in the machine learning and the artificial intelligence, and they are really very good course. So if you do not have somebody to teach you some topic, you can get help of the word. The school earlier, I remember my days when we were in the schools, we were confined to one city or maybe confined to one village. Our exposure was too limited. But with the advent of the digital technology and having your mobile in your hand, right, you can have the international feeling also without going anywhere. So that is also being adding to the teaching learning environment. And we at times we also say that today's generation is much smarter than us. So that was the this is the reason, because they have access to each and everything. Leadership, I have a few questions and I'll leave them to ponder upon. Okay, so a leader, what kind of the business should we be in? Okay, so it is up to the leader, okay, to decide the list of tasks which need to be performed by the various stakeholders. Okay, and how to implement them, it is important. Which skill and compatibilities should be developed within the academic institutions? What differentiated a technical academic institution like this from its competitors? Okay, so these are the questions which need to be answered by a good leader, and then a strategy has to be designed, right? So that so that every stakeholder of your institution should be in a right spirit and helping you to develop the institutions. Okay, how can the academic institution grow? By leveraging internal resources and exploring external opportunities. What are the expectations of our stakeholders, right? So as far as the leader is concerned, I think again I do not believe in leadership where okay you might okay believe that only punishing or maybe some sort of a right strictness is necessary, but I think teamwork is more important in today's world. So good leader has to be a good team worker, and he should be able to motivate the all stakeholders within the institution, and should be able to generate the tasks which are necessary for improving what we are discussing here. So the leadership is very, very important, because good leader always build a good institutions. So I think you might have a lots of theoretical input in the leadership also. So I am not going to deliberate much. So my concern is more on the quality education. So national NEP 2020, we have large number of lectures and we have deliberated. Again, we are deliberating here. Okay, because many times if you go through this NEP 2020, it gives you new dimensions and right motivate you to really work hard on some of the issues which can easily be implemented, right? So it says in a complete overhaul and the re-engineering of the existing higher education system to overcome the challenges related to academic quality of technical education, and thereby striving to deliver high quality technical engineering education with equity and inclusion. The sentence is really, really very, very okay heavy in the sense, because writing and talking is very simple, but when we come to implementation of these things, it's really a difficult task. So everybody, I believe, has gone through the NEP 2020 and can make a list what they can implement, right, to help this country to be Atmanirbhar or maybe self-dependent. That is important, and I think that is the basic aspect of this NEP 2020. Of course, in background or happiness or the prosperity or right the other attributes of the human life is important, but at last, if we have a nation or we become the developed nation, I think the most of the things can be easily be achieved. So that is important one here. So what are the major problems which have been listed in the NEP 2020? I think you might have gone, but they are really very subtle point, and we have to really have to ponder on each and every one, and have to find the solution. So it's a severely fragmented higher educational ecosystem. So this is a true sentence, because right sometimes the uniformity in delivering the task and the rating the various institution is different in different states and right different bodies. We have a multiple body for enforcing the quality of the education also. So right, and different institutions have a different kind of curricula. Movement of the student from one institution to the another institution is also difficult. So there are so many issues which need to be addressed here. Okay, and then they make the higher educational ecosystem as a fragmented one. Less emphasis on the development of the cognitive skills and learning outcome. I think today we whatever the question paper we design, right? It is based on more on just mugging the things and then omitting on the copies, and I think that is not going to help us. So sometimes it is more talk of the day to day that we have to give more emphasis on the formative assessment rather than the summative assessment. Because in formative assessment, you can define your own rubrics. You can define the rubrics for the summative also, but formative assessment, right, can be a continuous type of the assessment where you can really analyze your student and find what are the weaknesses, and then you can address accordingly. Of course, sometimes the infrastructure doesn't help us. Sometimes there is a less support from the administration of the institution. All of these issues I understand are there, and sometimes all onus lies on the faculty whether they have a facility or not. All kinds of concerns are there. I think the higher controlling bodies, especially those who are the decision makers on the top, they have to realize these factors, and if they really want to implement this NEP 2020 in true sense, I think the faculty and staff both have to be facilitated in a big way, which is still missing in India. A rigid separation of discipline, I think this is, of course, is there, but this question is not a simple one to answer, because at times when you say engineering in electrical, so a student should, or a person should have a sufficient knowledge of that discipline. So multidisciplinary should be there, but whosoever is going in a some sort of a stream or a discipline, he should have a good knowledge of that stream of the discipline. So how much, right, multidisciplinariness and how much the basic knowledge of that particular stream is required, again a debatable question, and right, we have to really answer in a way that it should benefit the student rather than become a bottleneck for their growth and the what we say the creativity or the innovation. Because at times I feel technology is growing right at a very fast pace, and even teaching in the time of the 4 years, whatever we have is very limited time. So we cannot impart each and everything to a student, because he or she also has some capacity to learn and deliver. All these factors has to be realized, right? And the if you talk about the engineering, 4 years is not large. First year goes in your common courses, and then you hardly left with second year and third year. Final year, again, the student is more diverted towards the placements. So well-balanced, right, course curriculum has to be designed. And it's not an easy task, as I said, because sometimes industry says the students have not been prepared as per their expectations, and those kind of the complaints will remain always. But I think at the background, we have to think more for the student rather than for any other stakeholder, because our concern is the student, right? So of course, a very important point which need to be answered, and maybe over the time we'll come out with a good solution of this. Limited access, particularly in socio-economical disadvantaged area, with few HEIs that teach in local language. Again, okay, a debatable question. Because, of course, they are the example exist from the Germany or from France or from China. They are teaching in their language, own language, and we are teaching in English. But we have become so acquainted to this English teaching environment. And I do agree that if you can teach in a local language, or if you teach in some language which is understandable to the students, it gives you more knowledge. There is no doubt, and learning percentage also increases. But at the same time, we have to address the global requirements also, and therefore a balance has to be made. What you are supposed to teach in local language and how much you have to teach them, and then the knowledge of the at least 2-3 languages is necessary in today's world. All right, addressing disadvantages, sectors is important, and I think we have to work really very hard, because I'm in the north east region, and I understand the capabilities as well as the problems the students are facing here. And when they entered into the NIT, their basics are not good in science and mathematics, and teachers face lots of problems. With an open mind, we have to address this problem without jeopardizing any societal norms. But at the same time, we have to understand that those students are really have some extra requirements, and sometimes it might be possible that they should be given some pre-coaching or preparation kind of a thing, so that they can compete with other students in the class, and the teachers also can easily teach in the classes, or can really follow their curriculum in time. So of course, again, an important problem, and autonomy is always a debatable question, and still the autonomy is at most of the institutions, apart from the NIT, IITs, is missing. Okay, and we say autonomy is there, but it's not a true autonomy. I can understand, and at times there is our concern in the administrative bodies also. If we give the autonomy to the teachers or to the staff, I think it's not good for the system. But anyhow, over the time, you have to learn and you have to impart the autonomy to these institutions. Of course, you can have a close monitoring. Those kind of the things might be there, but autonomy is must. Inadequate merits of merit-based career management and progression of faculty and institutional leadership. So both, we have to really imbibe some mechanism where we can enforce the good faculty as well as the good leaders, so the institution as well as the faculty can prosper. Research is a concern. Still, it is a debatable question, because asking each and everyone to go for the research is really a difficult task. But research can be seen in two ways here also. Research in terms of teaching, and imparting the knowledge to the student. And second, the research in real sense of developing the product. Because if you teach the same thing to the students, that is also not the requirement, and that's not really a teaching learning environment. So research in terms of teaching might be that you should come out with the new contents, new ways of learning, new ways of providing more implementable kind of knowledge to the students. And the real research can be, rather than on paper, it can be in the field, the product development, what the Honorable Prime Minister is asking to make this Bharat as a Atmanirbhar Bharat. So research has to be seen in a two aspects, in my opinion. Okay, one, we need a good teachers who can really make these students and build their foundation strong. And second, then we can leverage on their what we call the neem or the foundation, and then we can really turn them to a real engineers or the real innovators or the researchers to develop the products. So I think this point has to be strategically implemented in all institutions, and there are lots of questions here about for the faculty, for the staff also, because technical staff is equally important in engineering institutions. Suboptimal governance and leadership, I think everyone has seen this, and I don't know how to address this, but if we want to stand in the world, as a leading institutions, this point is very important, because you cannot go along with the suboptimal governance as well as the leadership. So somewhere this question becomes very pertinent in the modern world, because we are now talking about that we should be equitable to the most leading institution in the world. If you want to achieve that goal, okay, the governance as well as the leadership both are important. Regulatory system, we all know it's good on paper, but when it comes to the practical achievement of the quality of education, I think we are failing. That's my opinion. And we have to really work very, very hard where we can ensure that the real achievement or the real attainment of the goal, what we have we defined generally in the NBA, are there. Let's see. Okay, large affiliating industry. Okay, and resulting standards. So we all know the quality of education at present. Okay, especially in private sector. Multiple factors are there. It's you cannot blame the one stakeholder. I think all of us are responsible for this point. So multidisciplinary, as I said, is of course is a challenge to be implemented, and as I said, you have to make a balance right up to what you can impart, which year or which semester you can really build the foundation or the basic of the one stream or the one branch, and then on that foundation we can leverage for the multidisciplinary education. Of course, I do agree the multidisciplinary education is important, because for the real product development, it's not the electrical engineering, it's not mechanical or the civil or the computer science. I think we need to have a teamwork. So one way of achieving the multidisciplinary is constitute a good teams where the students can learn, through their partners, and then they can really become good innovator or the creator, and can really contribute in a disciplines. Okay. Curricula, pedagogy, assessment, important one. So curriculum designing is not a difficult task, right? Good curriculum have been designed by the AICT also, and the NITs, IITs, and the institutions are also becoming more dynamic in changing their curriculum. So things are happening, and I believe, over the time, more getting the more autonomy, and through autonomy, I think we can really make our curriculum, as per the need of the maybe partially for the industry, but I believe more for students. So student has to be at the center of the curriculum. As I said earlier also, it should not be too heavy. It should not be too, you can say, the light, where your learning objective are being defeated. And if it is too large, then the student might be under pressure or stress, and that's not good for his health as well as his progression. So we have to be balanced here, right? You cannot have many courses. You can in a semester. You should not have much less courses in this in a semester. So one this, and then the content of the syllabus is also important, because I have seen in some of the universities they want to teach 3 subjects in a one course. So those kind of things we should not do. We have to be really very, very objective in designing the scheme as well as the content of a subject. And further, I believe the content of a survey must be designed by a faculty who have at least taught that subject for 3 years. So he knows how much time each topic takes and what can be covered. In let's say the 40 lectures, because it's difficult to get the 35 or 40 lectures, for a subject in a semester. Pedagogy is important, because we do have a very, very nice teachers, right? At the same time, opposite end is also there. So what kind of the pedagogy we are going to use is important. But I believe here we have to change the pedagogy. We should use the blended mode of learning, where you using your slide presentation. Also, you are using the chalk and board book, because there is no match for the formal teaching, right? I have seen the student feel engaged when you are writing something on the board, and then you are forcing him to take the notes. At the same time, when it comes to the long derivations or the some sort of the diagrams, I think we can take help of the digital aids, and at the same time we can show them some real project or the real pictures or okay, the working of the equipments. These are the things where these digital aids can really help us, okay, to realize okay, what is going inside the machine or inside the principle of operating of any equipments. So those kind of the things we have to learn, and I think we can go ahead for this. Assessment is all I have already said, because we have to move much more to the formative assessment rather than the summative assessment, where you can assign a small assignment, where you can enforce the attainment of the NBA objectives, because the program objective which have been defined by the NBA is very nice. We do have a fundamental knowledge, problem solving, complex problem solving, lifelong learning, right? The teamwork, the okay, management, and other kind of the attributes in a students, and right, so many things are there. So if those can be attained, right, and they can be attained if you design a good assessment assignments. So assessment is important in terms of the assignments, and the student has to learn, right, how they can be really ethical or okay, in doing the assignment, because at times this is a customary in our country that the student copy the assignment and then submit. And at times the teachers are not having also enough time to go through those assignments and really do comments, because the class sizes are increasing. We are talking about the class size of 90, 120 or so. Because if you go and check an assignment, right, it takes at least 15 to 20 minutes. So we have to realize those kind of the facilitation of the teachers also, because you cannot assume that teacher can okay, the really justify with 60 students in a class. So if we are really want to have a formative assessment implemented in a true sense, I think we have to empower the teacher with more resources or the more support. So that is the need of the hour also, right? So then we say reaffirm the integrity of faculty and institutional leadership position through merit appointments and career progression. This is one part, okay. But I believe the integrity of the faculty partly is the hand of the faculty and partly in the society. So society must realize that the faculty or the teacher are very important, and we have to give them the due regards, okay? And because slowly somewhere the kind of the reputation the teachers used to have is okay, going down, and that is really a bad aspect of the, you can say, the society. So if you want good people should come to the faculty or as a teacher, I think we have to regain their both their respect, okay, as well as their reputation also, and we should give them the due weightage for which they deserve. So good people will come, and then we have to really also reward them in terms of both, because you cannot say, okay, now you can become just like a sant and do the teaching and then go to your home and sleep on the floor. So the things are changing. Everybody has its own aspirations, and therefore those aspirations should be fulfilled. So we have to think in a multiple ways how we can really have a good faculty or good people coming to the teaching professions. And I think we have to work very, very hard on this aspect of and the teacher is, we always say, the student at the center, but the teacher is also equally important, because if you do not have a good faculty or the good teachers in the institutions, I think you cannot achieve what you are envisioning in this NEP 2020. Right, so that is very, very important. NRF has been founded and lots of research has been given, but I think the lower level institutions should need to be supported equally. so we can generate real environment of the research and innovation. That is also required. Okay, autonomy we have talked about, tight but light but tight regulation. Okay, it should not be cumbersome, but it should be something which can really, as I said, enforce the quality of education in true sense. It should not be on the paper. Just we say, okay, now these are the numbers, and by these numbers we have attained the POs or COs or okay the other aspects of the learning, right? So if there has to be some sort of parameters which really address the true attainment of what we are really talking as a parameter for the teaching learning environment. So I think something will be done in future, and we will see the real impact on the learning of these things. I think all of you have gone through these points. Okay, restructuring is of course required. Holistic and multidisciplinary education, optimal learning environment, and support for the students. I think very important, and it encompasses all the above points also. So optimal and learning environment. How would you define the optimal learning environment? So you have to facilitate the institutions, you have to facilitate the faculty, you have to facilitate the administration in terms of both finances as well as the societal ways or in other ways also. So then you can think this is an optimal learning environment. If you think, okay, now we are providing the lots of finances and the societal support is missing, we cannot say this is optimum. So optimum is not a small word. The optimum encompasses large number of factors which really impact your learning environment. So we have to find out what are the minimal list of the parameters which impacts learning environment of an institution, and therefore the concerned authority has to address those and provide the good support and all kinds of the inputs to really have the optimum learning environment. Motivation and energized and capable faculty. There is no doubt at times the people in the teaching faculty are not happy. Maybe their promotions are not being done timely, or their pay scales are not being implemented, and if you go to the private education institutions, the faculty is not well paid, and large number of issues are existing in our country, and therefore those need to be addressed because everybody has the family, and then if the person who is a faculty is not able to support his family, he cannot be happy. So the NEP 2020 talks about the happiness and cohesiveness, culture, productive, innovative, progressive, so many attributes of a teacher. So if you want those attributes are there, I think he can be happy, only his family is happy. So we have to think in those aspects also. It's not only if you pay some bucks to the faculty and you think, okay, now that he will do miracles. Right? Everything needs time and inputs. So he should be well facilitated so he can really justify with his duties as well as job. Equity inclusion need to be work hard, because we know what kind of the education we do have in the rural areas or in the towns, because good teacher doesn't want to go there. Infrastructurally they are poor, and at times the basics of the students coming from the disadvantageous group is also a concern. So how the language is another concern. I think we all have faced, as we have said, the English is becoming a norm of the life, and the most of the part of the country, either they speak in local language or they speak in Hindi. And when they come to the higher education system, immediately they have to switch to the English education, and becomes very, very difficult for teachers, for the students, both. So somewhere we have to either use the modern tools to convert your lectures or your teachings to the local language so they can understand. But at the same time, we have to really prepare him for the industry and global competition. So important point. Teacher education has to be changed entirely. At times I believe the industry always demands too much from the teachers, and they say, oh no, you are not teaching the students as per our requirements. What is the input from the industry is in terms of the teaching? Are they ready to take the few teachers from each institution and train them and then provide them the good facility and then send them back to the education institutions? I think we really want the good teachers. We have to do something where the teachers can be sent for the real life projects to work in the industrial environment or in some good institutions, and should be given the all facilities required for. So teacher education is not the way you can just deliver some lectures online and then you think, oh, he will become a great teacher. So that's not possible unless until a mentor or a teacher learns how to implement various content, especially in engineering, right? So I believe teacher training or the teacher education has to be changed in our country, and it should be on the real platform rather than on a virtual platform. And I think then we can think of having good research, product development, or maybe good consultancy, and we can help in a better way to the industry. So I think industry has to understand this also, and our higher authorities have to understand also both. Right? Sometimes when the teacher wants to go on to the training, we say, oh no, who will teach your course? If those kind of the attitude is not going to change, how can you really think a teacher will become a good, or the desired kind of attributes a teacher will have to deliver in the class? So that is very, very important again. Catalyzing quality academic research in all fields through a new national research foundation. Let's see, a very big point and easy to talk, but very difficult to implement. One, you need a very state or art of infrastructure, which is, I believe, is not possible in each and every institutions. So we have to, I think, either categorize the institutions to do the research in one area or the two areas, and then there has to be good collaboration and the deputation of the faculty for the little longer time, so that he can really do some good research or can deliver something which is useful for the society or for the nation, right? Rather than having the facilitating the few institutions, especially IITs, and the rest of the institutions are either not having basic research facilities, or having some middle level of, because now the research is not a simple, and the cost of the equipments is too high if you want to really do the research on the cutting edge technologies. So there might be some research hubs where each and every person or the teacher can go frequently, and the institution can facilitate in terms of their livelihood, or in terms of their committing to that particular research hub. So those kind of the things can be done, and then I think we can really can see the change in the product development in the direction of the Atmanirbhar Bharat. Regulatory system we have already deliberated related. The effective governance and leadership for higher education. So apart from this, because governance is a very important word, and as far as the education institutions is concerned, we can make use of the ERPs or the QMS, so through which you can analyze the performance of each and every person in the institution, and even in the students. Of course, this is much more difficult in the teaching institution rather than in an industry, because in industry you might have a few parameters. Based on that you can judge your employee. But when it comes to the education system, there are large number of parameters or the attribute you have to judge your faculty as well as your student or your staff. So it's not easy, to imply the the tools, but they can at least help us in in analyzing the students and know the what the career path for it for a student need to be designed. So when you talk about the this OBE, at times I feel talking about the OBE or talking about the OBE as part of the NEP is simple, but realizing OBE is truly a daunting task, because if you read the basics of the OBE, it says the OBE plan for each and every student or a group of students can differ, and for that the inputting the resources is a difficult aspect. Okay, so let's see how we can really attain this OBE objectives. Professional education, adult education, lifelong learning, we all talk about, and we wish that all these forms of education will exist in the society. Now we are again talking about the Indian language, art, and culture. Okay, how much portion and what percentage out of these we can really imbibe in the engineering education? Again, a question mark. But I believe this language and all these things should be given more emphasis in the school education. So by the time the student comes to the higher education, he has a good control on the language. Art and culture is important, and that can be the part of the extracurricular activity. And the each and every the institute again should have enough infrastructure. Okay, because the students are also motivated one, and they really want to do lots of extra curricular extra activities. So but we have to facilitate. So facility need to be provided if we really want to do. Technology use is, of course, is increasing, and we all have learned. Of course, this corona pandemic was a very difficult time for us, but it has taught us many things which we may not be adopting for another maybe 4, 5 years or 10 years. But we are now well versed with the technology, and we are teaching from last 2 years online, and we have realized the importance as well as the impact of the technology. But at the same time, we are missing what is called the some sort of a interaction, a physical interaction with the students, and we have realized the technology can not only able to provide the good education. Therefore, both are important. The mentoring of the student physically in a class is important, as well as the use of technology is also important. And how much technology and how much personal interaction is required, again, depends. Not only one parameter, there might be lots of parameters for that also. Okay, so now some quote is there from Spark. So it's emphasized a need for transforming a technical education institute from a science-based conceptual engineer into science-based entrepreneur engineer. So this is what the demand of our honorable Prime Minister is also, because if you do that, then you can become a Atmanirbhar Bharat, and that is also we all need. And therefore, I think we have to change our the pedagogy or the content or the way of teaching, those kind of things, right? So all comes discovery, invention, planning, management. These all are the part of that one. We have a large number of accord, for ensuring the academic quality, Washington Accord, then engineering degree, Sydney Accord, engineering technology, Dublin Accord. So many efforts are there from the government of India, right, to ensure the quality of education. At the same time, we have a multiple bodies which ensure the quality of education should be enforced. Okay, that is another question, that how much real sense of the quality we have achieved. Okay, but of course, everyone is trying their hard, and everyone has a motive to improve the education quality in the country, and therefore we have a Ministry of Education, AICTE, Council of Architecture, NBA, UGC. We have a for medical the separate body who And similarly for ITI and the diploma, we have another body, okay, which really enforces or try to enforce the quality of education. Then there are some projects. We have a European Universities Association, right? Again, this body is also working on how to really improve the quality of education in universities, okay, and address the other requirement of this. So excellence, quality excellence, creating an environment in which the best prospers irrespective of others, making sure that areas of high reputation perform consistently, fitness for purpose, specifying an enlisted purpose and ensuring everything conforms to it. Value for money, using reputational leverage to attract money from higher profile resources and ensuring that it is spent effectively or at least to the satisfaction of the donor. Transformational, ensuring that top graded students are prepared for significant graduate jobs. Top researchers are fully sponsored and enabled to attract and deliver major research projects. So there are some aspects which are part of this one. Excellence everybody wants, but achieving excellence, difficult. Whatever we have discussed, those kind of the inputs are being needed to each and every institutions to really go for excellence. And achieving excellence needs lots of hard work and input from each individual stakeholder of these institutions. So stakeholders, we all know, right, starting from the student, faculty, staff, right, then the society, right, and of course the parent is the part of that also. So all those stakeholders, you cannot say that if I have an input from the one stakeholder, the two stakeholder, I can get the excellence. Excellence will come when all the stakeholders will participate equally in improving the quality of education. Okay, there should be a good feedback from the parents, and right, the parents need to be also educated about the development or the what we call the holistic development of the students, and then they can really contribute to the development of the institution. Consistency is, of course, important word. So consistency is not only in terms of your reputation, but in terms of your delivery of services should be there. Okay, so again, the consistency can be talked about in many, you can say, the dimensions. And those consistencies have to be maintained within the institution, and then you can say, now, okay, and we are a good institution. Okay, so specifying and illicit purpose. So you have to really form a list, of what you want to do, and or basically you have to define your outcomes. Maybe for different stakeholders, maybe students separately, faculty, staff separately. For an institution, might be separately, and for the society, for the nation, maybe separately. And then you can really work hard. How I can really achieve those kind of things. So you can call that as a fitness of the purpose, and then you can do this. Of course, now we also want that the society or the industry or the alumni should help in the development of the institution, and they should give some sort of the financial assistance. If those kind of the aspects are there, the institution has to be ensure that the money the various stakeholders are giving us being used for the purpose. So it is there. Transformational is a big issue here, because we again want that we have to change the teaching learning environment where the student just only receive the knowledge and then omit it and simply doesn't know how to apply, how to analyze, or the higher you can say the layers of the Bloom's technology are not being achieved. So we have to ensure that the student should become more thoughtful, okay, more creative, and he should really be helpful in the development of the new products or the development of the economy and so on and so forth. Quality infrastructure, teacher building, all these are being required. Okay, we have already discussed all these things, so I don't need. Okay, we'll be going to, of course, upskilling the teachers, administration personnel, and then especially in technical institution, the skilling of the technical staff is also equally important. So we cannot okay forget, because the teaching, this technical staff is integral part of your teaching process, and they should be given a proper training, okay, well trained. I think we have already discussed okay, directly, indirectly, all these points, so I don't need right, we have to deliberate more here. Then okay, what improve technical education, right? So autonomy, we have already deliberated, both this financial, functional, and administrative. All three kind of the autonomy need to be there. Okay, if you get one kind of the autonomy, may not help the institutions, but at the same time, the head of the institution or the leader of the technical institution has to be very, very objective while exercising this autonomy. At times, because we are not very careful in exercising the autonomy, and therefore it jeopardizes the many aspects of when the autonomy is being imparted. So when autonomy comes to you, it comes with the responsibility, and we must realize our responsibility and exercise the autonomy, okay, with those kind of highly responsive manner. Okay. We say from teaching to learning. Okay, so we have to understand the difference between the teaching and the learning. So teaching is whatever is being given in the book, you have prepared the slides and then they deliver in the class, and then you ask the students, and okay, the students learn that, or simply okay, mark that one, and then it gives your answers to the question whatever you have taught. But learning is different. Learning is basically application and the production of the new knowledge. Okay, so we have to really train our students, right, how they can apply what you have taught in the class, and you have to be also innovative and okay, creative in your teaching. So designing of the assignment is a very, very important aspect, is in my opinion. If I can design the assignments where they can apply the knowledge what I have teach in a class, and then they can also okay, become analytical whatever they have learned, I think that kind of the paradigm shift we need to achieve in our classrooms as well as our institutions. So that can be effective learning, right? So teachers' competence has to be included, because a very serious concern, because we are not having the teachers, and we always talks about the shortage of the quality teachers in all institutions, not only the okay, the state level, but IIT, NIT also are facing the same problem. So how to really improve this situation is a big question here. Yes, obsolete removal is important aspect, and okay, both in we at times talk of the obsolete removal of, or the obsolescence removal of the curricula. But I think the obsolescence removal is required in all aspects. Your laboratories also, if you find your equipments are obsolete, I think they need to be upgraded timely. Similarly, your curricula, and similarly your the evaluation process as well as the pedagogy. So all kinds of the factors which right affects our teaching learning environment need to be changed over the time. So sometimes you can say you have to be very, very dynamic in implementing okay, and removal of the obsolescence in all fields of your task of your institution. So that is there, right? Industry interface, difficult, I believe, is difficult to achieve. We all try to enforce the industry institution interaction, but sometimes we found there is a bottleneck from the resources of the industry. Sometimes we do not have enough facility for the student in the institution. So some middle way need to be thought of, where students can be given equal opportunity and industry can also support us in a meaningful way. So the complaint of what the industry have with us and the complaint what we do have with the industry can be given away. So some strategy need to be designed, right? And because we have a large number of students, and finding the internship for all the students in the companies or the industries is really difficult. So either we can go in a phased manner, and or the industry can create a separate facility for the internship of the students and can train the students as well as the faculty on the state of art technologies. And thereby we can address this huge problem in a better way. So something has to be done, if you really want to improve the technical education. And this industry deputation of the faculty and the student is a very, very, very important aspect. Or the industry can depute 1% or the 2% and can give us the real life projects, and we can really do that in our own institutions, and faculty can periodically invite the faculty mentors or the students occasionally to look at the real machines or the real product being developed. So some sort of arrangement need to be done if we really want to do that. This student exchange is, of course, is increasing, and I think it has increased a manifold if we consider nearly 5 years or 6 years before. Credit transfer is happening, student exchange program is happening, cultural exchange is also happening. So I don't think there is any difficulty in achieving these small objectives. You have to be open in your approach as well as in your mind, in your thoughts. So that is also need of implementation, and we do have implemented a lot of these small initiatives of the NEP 2020. Ethics and discipline. Discipline, I think we have to work a lot. What we feel at times when I talk about the discipline or ethics, it reminds me to the foreign countries, some foreign countries like China or the US, where the ethical values as well as the discipline is much more prevalent in the student, faculty, and staff rather than in our own country. So I think we have to really learn the work culture, from some developed country or the developing countries. And it's not a difficult, because it entirely depends upon us and the society. And if they can help and they can motivate and they can teach the students in institutions as well as the parents in their house, right? The good ethics as well as the discipline. And that is the foremost need of any education institutions, rather than going for some sort of the penalizing kind of the mechanism, which I said, I do not agree at times. But sometimes when the things becomes really difficult for you, you are being forced to do so. So we have to really work much harder than other aspects on this ethics and the culture and the discipline, or the moral values of our own students. Quality management metrics, we have already discussed, so I'm not going to discuss here. So the management people talk about the total quality management. So total means including all kinds of issues. So you can say they can call them the resources, but we do have a stakeholders also apart from the resources here in the education institutions. Quality, fitness for use, then management process to install a culture of continuous improvement. So how would you apply this TQM concept to the education is important one. So there are some models being given here. So 4 or 5 models have been taken from the, so it says, it says plan, control, and improve. So plan, of course. Planning is important for any aspects, may it be your industry, may it be your institution, or may it be your any other entity, okay, in our life, or it can be a society. So plan needs a lot of things. So here we are talking about the transformation planning, then teaching learning, okay, standards for monitoring. So all these need to be developed, and we sometimes call the strategic plan for 5 years, for 3 years. Sometimes we say the short goals or the long-term goals. Okay, so all these things need to be discussed and need to be drafted beautifully. And then we can, once we implement the plan, and then we can think of the improvement also in terms of the quality. Okay, we can have the QMS also, quality management system, that can be implemented. Okay, then internal quality assurance can be there within the institution. And now, if you remember the NBA, they talk about the whether you have this quality assurance for your teaching learning process or not. So we sometimes have the people from the outside or within the institution to really evaluate the teaching learning process. And if you find something is missing, I think you can really do the control over that one. Okay, so some sort of this paradigm we all are aware of with this. Similarly, it talks about how to implement the other aspects of this thing. So all these becomes the part. Then we talk about the 4A model: ability, attitude, the access, and the application. So this is, you can apply either on the faculty or the staff or the faculty or the students. Okay, so this is also important when we want to analyze any student's capability, as well as his path of learning, or his career progression, something like this. Then another people have called the PDCA cycle also. So you need to do the planning also. You do the to implement the plan, and then check what your plan is working or not working. And then after doing this, then you need to act on the improvement also. So all the models are talking about the more or less of the same things, right? The final objective is to improve continuous improvement of your teaching learning process, and improving your institutional image, as well as you can say the ranking and other things. Aspects of this, I have already told you, the quality assurance. And if you go for the quality assurance, lots of parameters need to be addressed. Similarly, resource management includes all the resources you have for your institution. So here, human resource can encompasses all the stakeholders, like student, faculties, staff, and then your parents, then your society. Material might be your labs, and anything which you need to really implement the good academic practices. And similarly, academic infrastructure may be your smart classrooms, laboratories, and so many things. So we all know what are the various resources we need for a good education institutions, and the effective management of all those things are necessary. Okay, this is also from the management side. It looks nice. Okay, so we all understand how to do this. Stakeholders, we have already discussed. You have a student, faculty, staff, academic institutions, industry, parents, society, and at large, we have a nation. So benefit of the TQM to students, right? Apart from in the basic, I at times believe the NBA program objective are the basis of the achievements. How do we achieve those program outcomes of or the POs, right? So, or the COs. And in the background of that, I think we can little bit talk about the benefit of TQM. So we are saying if you have a total quality management, then I think student can become more creative, innovative, right? They have a skill for solving the problems. They can analyze their problem analytically, ethical values of a high level, and many things we can achieve through TQM. Nurtures creative minds and problem solving attitude, prepares to face issues of any industry or environment, enhances the technical capability of major stakeholders, stimulate to upskill and update with the latest trend and data resources through implementation of OBE. So final point is much more important, right? It encompasses more or less all the points what we have discussed, right? So true implementation of OBE, if can be achieved, right? I think then, and this TQM, as we have said, can help us in really implementing the true OBE. Then TQM can help us the faculty training, which faculty needs what kind of the training, or the institution needs the expertise in what kind of the fields, and how we can really create the resources in terms of the faculty and staff, okay, for having the adequate facility in each and every field, which the institute is of concern. So TQM is really very, very effective in terms of analysis of the requirement of, okay, the faculty as well as staff training. Service conditions, how the faculty or the staff is feeling and what service condition can be improved with a little input can be can be helped by through the TQM. Career prospects and growth of faculty and staff both. Self-satisfaction, so you can analyze what is the level of the satisfaction in your institution for all stakeholders, not only faculty and staff, but we can make use of for all. Pedagogy, what kind of the pedagogy we are using, and what is the impact of the pedagogy being used in the institution is a very, very important aspects of the, you can say, assessment, and it has to be done periodically, and continuous improvement is also being required. So TQM can help us in doing these aspects also. Research and consultancy also, it can find the risks, the opportunities. Okay, it can help us in leveraging the facilities which we can have in the institutions, and can let the industries know what kind of the expertise and the resources we have, and can increase your research and consultancy opportunities. Competency and skills can be improved, of course, because this is something which is the backbone of your institution, and we have to really need to periodically evaluate what kind of the competency and skills we do have in our own institutions, and right, how and what need to be done to improve the same. Teaching learning process. Okay. Then academic institution can be helped in many ways. Now we are talking about the ranking as well as the perception about the institution. So it can be increased through these kind of techniques. Self-sustainability and sustainable development, because in financial terms, this is very, very important. Service to society and nation at large. Okay, what kind of the help we can do for the society, can analyze what is required locally, what is required across the states or the across the nation. That can be realized, and the opportunity can be found how really we can help. Cost-effective, affordable education, better achievements of the goals. Entrepreneurship, incubation, research and development, placement and satisfaction of the student, better understanding the requirement of the industry, and ensure the relevance of the delivery of the contents in the classrooms. Then we do have resource sharing and academic collaboration, because at times we do have academic collaboration, but it's not effective. So how we can implement this collaboration for the benefit of the institution, and periodical monitoring is of course is required. Resource sharing, we have already said, okay, now especially when you have a high-end equipment and you cannot afford at the institution level, I think we can have a common hub for the costly equipments, or we can have some common place which is accessible in a group of institutions easily and can use those resources, right, in a better way. So those kind of things can be done through TQM in a much better way. Create a progressive vision and the action plan. That is, of course, is a part of, need to be a part of every education to ensure what we are discussing really. And so next is the benefit of TQM to industry. Okay, so can we find some opportunities using this in the industry to train? Okay. So the faculty would be benefited if you have a better trained and the skilled manpower being developed through implementation of the various schemes, okay, what we have discussed. Innovation and creative solution to many industrial problem, as I said, if we can analyze the capability and the talent of each and every student, we can let the industry know this student is better for these kind of the jobs. And that will facilitate the industries in a big way, because they have a right kind of the manpower to take over the various category of job, and the output of the employees, of course, is good, and both will feel satisfied. Indigenous cost-effective product development, right? So this is also possible. Effective implementation of MOU being signed, help in achieving excellence and leadership. Okay, so some of the students can be good in leadership, so those can be used accordingly. And of course, excellence is required not only in the industry. Everybody wants the excellence, so okay, the excellence through good or the well-trained manpower can be automatically will come to the industry. And if we can do this, of course, the industry will become more sustainable and will be good for all the stakeholders. Parents, if we have a TQM, then the parents will have a good feedback about their wards, and then they can really know how their wards are doing, and they will feel more satisfied. Or they may demand input from or may give the input from their side for the betterment of the students. So overall, this can be easily done. And effective implementation of equity and gender balance. Again, a very serious concern of the government, as well as necessary for the society, because we have to really empower the socially, economically disadvantageous groups, and then facilitate them in a various ways. Maybe in terms of the extra help for the academics, or maybe in terms of the finances, or maybe in terms of the other issues. So that is there. Gender balance is also because girls' education need to be increased, and this can give us better understanding how we can really address this issue. Service to society, right? As I said, we can analyze the local needs, can have a database, what locally we need and what globally we need, and then accordingly, we can design our strategy and implement. Okay, and that will really not only increase your institutional perception, but also will help overall in the sustainability in other aspects also. Prioritization of resources and addressing of the environment concern, because environment is also becoming a big concern, right? In all, you can say the or many factors are there, because the major we at times heard the news about the Delhi and the major metropolitan cities, the air quality, the water problem, at times the flood problems. These are the problems which need to be addressed by these institutions. So if those institutions can analyze and can really know, okay, what are the problems which are locally existing, and can let the students ponder upon them and then facilitate them to address those kind of the issues in a practical way, I think some good input can be there, okay, to the society, and I think long way the large problems can be solved. So this is also right, can be good input if we really going to implement the total quality management in the institution. As a nation, transform into equitable and vibrant knowledge society. That is the basic aim of the NEP 2020 also. So finally, if we have a better management at the institutional level, I think this can be done, and we can become again the knowledge superpower, because knowledge what the modern society needs, okay, and then you can be a developed country. We need to develop good, thoughtful, well-rounded and creative individuals. So this can also be achieved. Knowledge creation and innovation will come into the way, and of course will also help in terms of the economic growth of the country. Finally, holistic development, sustainable quality living, okay, development. So all these attributes will come automatically, okay. The only thing what we need, real sense and the realization of the duties and the responsibilities of these institutions. When we talk about the institutions, I think all these two stakeholders comes into the picture. And I'm not shying saying that each stakeholder is not performing their duties what they are supposed to do, whether it might be a leader or whether it might be a student or the faculty or the society or the industry. Every one of us are shying from our responsibilities and duties, and therefore attaining the excellence in education, okay, or the total quality management will happen only when we realize what are our duties, and we must put in hard work and sincere efforts. I think we can achieve, in spite of the some shortage of the resources, okay, that can be done. And I believe this is my last slide, and I thank you all, and especially the management of the Government Women Engineering College, the coordinator of this program, the principal, and the whole staff and the faculty. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
And now, if any question is there,
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
so questions, if any participant have.
Any questions? I think, sir, there are no questions. So now I take
Yeah,
privilege.
that's really irony, no?
Maybe it is well explained, sir. So at the end, I thank you, sir. Thank you for leveraging our thought process regarding the technical education and education as a whole. The FDP is about leadership and excellence in technical education. You have established this host institution, and all of the organizing team members has worked in your principalship. We very well experienced and understand that you are a real practitioner of leadership concepts as well as excellence concepts. Whenever we interact with you, we feel as we are exploring the ground realities on the topic. In this talk, you have outlined all the aspects of FDP, be it policies, teachers, students, society, infrastructure, or technology. You have pointed out the practical aspects of paradigm shifting in education, role of pedagogy, revamping of the curriculum, optimal learning environment, multidisciplinary education, National Education Policy NEP 2020, resource sharing and collaborative education, ethics and discipline. At the same time, you have also explained to all of us the established theoretical aspects like Bloom's technology, Foray model of ability, total quality management, outcome based education, OBE, etc. I express my sincere thanks and gratitude towards you for sparing time for this talk and blessing all of us. I also extend thanks to you on behalf of my institution head, Dr. Jitendra Kumar Digwal, the principal, and the coordinator, Madam Meeta Sharma, and whole of the organizing team of this program. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for joining
Sir,
and sparing time for us.
There is
Sir.
one question. Yes.
Sir,
Yeah.
very good morning. So it was a wonderful session and very beautiful aspects that you have brought in, and you have, revived the whole thing with respect to the modern education policies like NEP and all that stuff. So, but I do have one question, sir. So
I'm reading in a chat box.
Yeah.
How can the management convinced of the uplifting of facility?
Right, sir.
So Mahesh ji, you are na mere naam rashi ho aap to. So from where you are?
Sir, myself, Mahesh Koti from PS College Engineering, Mandya, Karnataka.
Okay. See, what the people are not realizing is unless until you enforce the quality, you are not going to be the sustainable. Right.
Right, sir.
So
Right,
one
sir.
thing we have to understand, especially right in the private educational institutions, the quality plays a major role. Right?
Sir. Right, sir.
And if when you talk about the facility, I believe the faculty is the core of right any institution. We
Right,
all
sir.
agree for this. But at times the management does not realize right the true role of the faculty, and therefore they lack in the facilities. Okay,
Right, sir.
apart from the other facility. But in this modern time, I think every student is smart enough and they know which institution is offering what.
Right, sir.
And therefore, we are talking about calling the some of the good university from the outside also,
Right, sir.
right?
Right.
And if this happens, then we might be in little more problems. And if the institutions are not really learning for facilitation of good laboratories, right, the staff, good salaries, okay, then they may lose not now, maybe after 5 years or the 6 years. So
Right,
they
sir.
should be given the example of the BITS Pilani or the good institutions which are really very, very old and never have an objective of right earning the money.
Right, sir.
So if you want to be stand in the competition, I think what your question is very, very pertinent, and they have to understand, okay, to stand yourself or to make your sustainable for a longer time, these facility uplifting or the facilitating the faculty and staff as far as right upgrading your infrastructure is very, very important.
Right, sir.
So you have to tell them, sir, if you want to really stand for longer in the competition, or if you want to leverage the image of the institution, I think it is very, very necessary, okay, to work on the facility upliftment for all, not in terms of the lab only, not in terms of the classroom, because that then investment is one time.
Right, sir.
But I believe investment on the faculty is a very, very important.
Right, sir. Well said.
So the people, see, we are not realizing this fact, and therefore the quality of education is going down.
Right, sir.
So the day these people will realize the faculty is real asset, I think we may not have such questions. Okay.
Definitely, sir. Definitely.
Yes.
Because actually, I do have some industry exposure. I have worked in
Yes.
corporate for some time, and then in teaching, it has been more than a decade for me. The views what I have, so it's very similar to what you have expressed. But as you said,
So I understand, Koti. I know, okay, ins and outs of the education institutions in India, barring few. It's really pathetic for faculty. Really, really pathetic.
right, sir.
Yeah. See, that's why the people are not okay. At times they are afraid. Now they are especially afraid of coming to the teaching profession. Earlier it was not. 5 years before, the people were highly willing to come to, and some of the people like you have left the industry and joined. I do have one of my PhD student. He left the job and joined the one of the good institution in Jaipur, and then finally now he's being forced to leave the Jaipur, and he's in somewhere in Visakhapatnam. So
Right,
I think these things should not happen. If these things will happen, what we are talking is really talk on the paper. That's all.
Very well said, sir.
Yes.
So implementation is very important rather than.
It's not an implementation, it's the facilitation of the people.
Right, sir. No, I mean, actually, the points what you raised. So the facility, providing facility. So instead of talking about if management wishes to
Yes,
just
yes.
bring in reality, so that will be helpful.
Koti, see, we have to understand the faculty is also a human being.
Right,
Okay?
sir.
They also need respect, right?
Right, sir.
So respect from the society. Student karta hai, nahi karta, that is a second issue. But the respect should be from the society. So we are demanding a lot from the teachers and don't want to give anything. Okay, I think
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you once again, sir. I think no more questions. Any more question, if any, please, participants. So thank you again, sir.
okay, all the
Thank you
best.
for joining.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Sir.
for blessing us.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So can I leave now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, sir.
Okay, thanks all participants. As per schedule, please meet in the next session. Thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
joining this session.
Thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone.
Next session is scheduled at 11:45. So I request all the participants to join around 11:40.
Okay, ma'am. Thank
Okay,
you.
ma'am.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Mita. Thank you very much.